I started making music. Was really passionate about it. Felt a lot of vision. Immersed myself in the community. Got made some progress. I got my million streams, right? So it's like I did what I had to do. I did what I set out to do. But I think life just kind of hit, and I was making music avidly, putting a lot of money into it, not seeing anything come out of it. Or at least everything that was coming out of it was kind of superficial. Got fired from a job. It was a contracting gig, and now I found out that week that my wife was pregnant, and honestly, like super shell shocked. Realized in that moment, I was like, my priorities are super out of whack. I suddenly have this family I have to provide for. Suddenly have all these things that I need to like. I have to shift my vision from what I wanted to what I'm required to do. And so I kind of have this like burden of responsibility that's put on me.
Dear listeners,
the following recordings were written and produced with you in mind.
These episodes will add joy to your life, fill you with inquisitive thoughts, and leave you thinking to yourself, hey Rob.
Hey Kaj,
Can you say that again?
Welcome to the Say That Again podcast.
How many times do I have to hear you record this?
What is up, people? Welcome back to, I'm not even going to guess the episode number on this one.
23.
23?
Episode 23.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
We're
to episode
actually ahead.
23 of the STA podcast, aka the Stop Pod, and originally known as the Say That Again podcast. Thank you so much for listening and showing all your love and support. We greatly appreciate it. Now, let's talk business. We have...
Well, we're doing a new segment, right?
What's the new segment?
Where we read a listener review.
Oh, right. Right.
Are we doing this or not?
Guys, this is a mess.
God, no. Hold on. Before you interject yourself, having a messy intro is our signature.
Oh, that's
It is true.
This is our signature.
We haven't been known to
we are
come in
very
clean.
on brand.
No matter how hard I try, we do not come in
We
clean.
lost all retention, all of it.
No, this is what the people come for.
Yeah.
Okay,
Shout out to Sue.
Kaj, here's my question to you. Whose review are you going to be reading?
I'm gonna be reading one of the first reviews we've ever gotten.
Okay,
It's from this well-known artist, Grant Owen.
okay.
And he was saying that he's never listened to an episode before.
Hey, that's a lie. I listened to one. I've listened to one. Or half of one, maybe.
And yet, he heard so much good things about it from other people that he's been raving about it nonstop.
Wow.
He said, guys, your podcast is great! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
In my books, that's a 5-star review.
5-star.
5-star.
5-star. And because he was so emphatic, we had to bring him on.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that. Grant, when did you get here?
Thanks for the invite. Great intro. Excellent intro. I'm curious. Do you guys have like what's your like theme song coming in? Do you have like a Say That Again? Like, do you have a?
We gotta.
That's coming up.
We gotta
That's
work
coming
on
up.
that right
no,
now.
I messaged you that because you're working on the one thing. I
think I'm gonna give you a freebie.
No.
No. We didn't say that.
No, like in Christian was saying he has a guy too. We need like a custom intro.
Yeah, because right now we're using an Gazelle song. Shout out
That's
Aha
fire.
Gazelle.
Oh, that's fine. You're
It is
chilling.
fire.
You're not,
It's
he's
a
not.
vibe.
He's not gonna. He's not.
It
gonna,
is a vibe, but like we'd like to do something
But,
original.
but he's not gonna DMCA you for that. He's
No.
You're reviving.
No, he's not. Honestly, I'd love
He's the homie.
I'd
Knock
love
on
for him
wood.
to feel the love from this. But
Yeah.
like
Exactly.
we'd love something original too.
Go listen to Aha Gazelle. Go listen to Aha Gazelle.
Yeah,
Listen to Aha
greatest rapper in the game.
Gazelle. Wow, that's a bold
That's
statement.
an absolute statement.
Okay, we're
And
moving
I'm
on
just
from
leaving
that
it there.
statement
All right.
before we get lit up for talking about hip hop. So why is Grant Owen on the podcast right now? Because you're an expert in real estate, right?
I'm an expert in nothing. I'm an expert in very little. Yeah. Um.
So who are you for all of our listeners who obviously don't know who you are at this point in time?
Church member, friend for years. Yeah. I found myself. We can talk about it a little bit, but I found myself like changing my personality every 6 months, and so this is the first time where I feel like I can say who I am, and it's been consistent for like over a year. because like
Wow.
usually like my interests and opinions like drastically change.
But that's not
And
changing personality. That's changing.
but that's it's weird. Like for me, like it's so tied. Like I am very firm in whatever I'm in at that moment. So
Yeah, you're an all-in kind of guy.
I'm an all-in guy.
But why do
I'm
you
very
feel
into
like that
commitment.
all-in mentality shifts? Like, what about each of those passions that you jump into make you want to say, "Not anymore. I'm done with this."
Uh, I think it's so tied to like vision. It's so hard for me to like for me individually. I get stuck mentally and emotionally, physically, just like if I feel stagnant.
Yeah.
So I have this thing where it's like if I'm not moving forward, I'm not moving at all, and if I'm not moving at all, I'm depressed. So that's why like whenever I get attached to something, I squeeze it for all it's worth. I try to commit super hard to it. And it's benefited me in a lot of ways because it allows me to make like an insane level of progress in a short amount of time in one direction. Um, but at the same time, my biggest issue, the thing I'm trying to resolve the last couple of years, is just the fact that I want to like really follow something through. So it's easy for me to start something. It's easy for me to make progress and have like this outside looking in. It looks like you're doing something solid. But internally, I know like where I started and where I want to be and what my goals are. And so I really like to have, and business is kind of like a new thing where it's like I really want to have my business succeed beyond where my goals were set. So that's kind of where my vision's at.
Great. Yeah, let's talk about that more. Let's talk about vision. Let's talk about wealth. Let's talk about business. That's kind of why
none of
the
think
first.
almost none of which that I have, but yeah.
Well, yeah, so it's not about being an expert and giving advice. It's about having a conversation and gleaning something from each other.
So here's a question I'll pose to both of you guys. What, when it comes to vision casting and goal setting, are kind of like your top, I don't know, and this is like a personal question. This is like a vague. I'm not
Yeah.
looking for a vague answer. Like, what are some of your
You
like
never want big answers.
top? Right, but some people give them. What are some of your current top goals, visions, and why do you feel like those are good goals and visions right now? Like, what makes those above all other things in your life? And to piggyback off of that, what would you say is the motivation behind those as well? So either one of you can, shoot your shot to answer that first.
I mean I have something I could say. I probably can give a little backstory too. So a few years ago, I started making music. I was really passionate about it. Felt a lot of vision. Immersed myself in the community. Got made some progress. I mean, I got my million streams, right? So it's like I did what I had to do. I did what I set out to do. But I think life just kind of hit, and I was making music avidly, putting a lot of money into it, not seeing anything come out of it. Or at least everything that was coming out of it was kind of superficial. Got fired from a job. It was a contracting gig, and now I found out that week that my wife was pregnant, and honestly, like super shell shocked. Realized in that moment, I was like, my priorities are super out of whack. I suddenly have this family I have to provide for. Suddenly have all these things that I need to like. I have to shift my vision from what I wanted to what I'm required to do. And so I kind of have this like burden of responsibility that's put on me. And it honestly wasn't even really until after my daughter turned 1 that I felt the weight of it. And my wife and I were living at my parents' house trying to save money to buy a house, and we just got hit with 2 miscarriages because we were trying for a second kid. And it was the first one like really emotionally hit me. Fortunately, I'd had a stable job and everything was great for that point, but something in me, like I was working contracting in a different business as well, so I was just working like 60, 80 hours a week, just really grinding, trying to make money. Um, and felt like I was stagnant, and kind of like I mentioned, like when I feel stagnant, it's just tough, and I felt like our family was stagnant because we were trying to move from apartment to house, which we're still trying to do, and I was not loving either one of my jobs, but felt like I couldn't escape from it, and I wasn't able to create the way I wanted to create, because I had this whole vision of what I wanted to be as an artist, and it just didn't work out. And the second miscarriage, and this was in 2020, really hit me emotionally, and not in a way where the first one I could cry about, second one I could not cry about, and I went into this place where I was kind of really closed up. And I'm not the type of person that gets depressed, but I would spend 4 or 5 hours staring at a wall, just being like, I don't see what I'm supposed to do today. I don't see what I'm supposed to do next week. I don't see what I'm supposed to do next year. I don't know what God's doing because I don't know. Like I'm questioning the goodness of God, right? Because my circumstances are so negative that I know He's good, but I don't have vision for my life. I don't have vision for what I want to be. I scheduled multiple therapy sessions and chickened out of every single one of them. Um, and it wasn't until January of 2022, last year, 1 year ago now, that I figured out, after changing my surroundings. So me and my wife moved. We went into our own apartment. I had somehow gotten promoted into a different job, despite the fact that I was like didn't really put any motivation into what my role was before. Um, and I just realized the only thing I can do is focus on what I can control, um, because there's circumstances that I can't control, that I just need to let God deal with those and focus on my daily habits, my daily my actions that can compound and have a positive effect. So um, I think in that time, like, I wouldn't necessarily say God got me out of depression, because it felt like I did. I got myself out, but I also know it was God ordained. And in that moment, I started hitting up some content. So bring it back to your original question, I went to some content, and I found Ryan Pineda, and I don't love all the stuff, but he had this concept called Wealthy Way, and it was just like this 2 hour course that you take, and essentially just blueprints and really just get specific on fundamentals of how do you vision your next year, how do you goal set this next year. And these are reasons why it's been unsuccessful in the past. These are reasons why you need to be specific about these things, and then trace it back to daily habits so that you can actually find progress. So all that to say, all that backstory to say, like, after taking that, I just got super regimented. Um, Worked out 5 times a week. Read my Bible every single day, and just decided on each of the categories. So like it's called wealth categories, and it's an acronym. It's like worship for W, education for E, affluence for A, lifestyle L, team for T, and health for H. And I think in the midst of that, you're supposed to create three different goals for the year, and then break those down into weekly and daily of how you're going to pursue those. Um, and I just think that practice of getting that specific with myself, realizing I've been stuck and feeling awake for a little bit just because I changed my surroundings, it just became really apparent that I could say what I wanted for my life, and no one else could say that for me. And I could pursue and trust that no matter what, God is going to let something happen, positive or negatively, and my job is just to walk in faith. So because of that, I mean, my wife and I kept trying. We ended up having a kid this past year, and I wanted to change jobs, so I was applying to 20, 30 jobs a day, right? And it was purely because I wanted more money. And then I got 2 promotions and 2 raises this past year, and I think it was a compounding effect of like, this is where my mentality's at, and it's influencing my actions. Um, I was really tired of working the side gig that I was working for 3 years. Good money, but it was just like super draining on me just to work an additional 25 hours a week on an hourly job. Just got too much. So I was like, I want to start my business, because even if it isn't that much money, I want it to grow into something that can be more and can replace things. So purely just that vision casting, the vision setting of just it doesn't manifest in the way that you just have this positive affirmation. But it made me realize that my motivation can't drive my success. I have to have it be driven by my daily habits. And so it became a good feeling to love pain and be like, I'm feeling sick today, but I'm still gonna make my LLC. Or like, I'm feeling I just worked a hard 8 hours for my day job, and I worked a hard 2 hours for my business, and then my kid wants to play with me, and now I have to just be on no matter what, and just commit time to it made me love that, and I my love crashing because I felt successful. And I'm realizing like I would love to just have a vision for myself in 5 years, and uh if I just do the same thing every single day for those 5 years, I'll get it. And my issue in life so far has just been the fact that I haven't committed to something for that long of a time. Like I haven't allowed that extraordinary amount of time to compound because I'm expecting results in 3 months. So if I had stuck with the stuff that I was trying before, I would have found success with it. If I stuck with music, I would have been successful with it. But the fact that I didn't put the amount of time required and I didn't put out the amount of content required to be successful is the main reason that I didn't find success, and that's why I'm going to change that for this next venture. So that's a long-winded answer, but that's kind of like a little bit of my testimony this past few years. God's done a lot of stuff, and he's even through miscarriages and through a lot of pain. He's been super sovereign, and I am grateful for the lessons that he's taught me. But I think this is the first time in my life where I can say the things I was thinking last year are the same things I'm thinking right now, and I would like for 5 years from now to be saying the same thing. I want to learn a lot. I want to grow a lot, but I want to be fundamentally thinking the same foundational thoughts.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
Went deep.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that.
Where are you at?
So I think what's interesting is you guys having families, right, and me being single. Like a lot of the reason why I work so hard is because over the last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, like I'm very observant, and I even just the men in my own family, like and all guys that I look up to, like, and even as like my peers have started getting married, starting to have kids, it's like the observation that I've made is just like I want to be able to, when if God blesses me with a family, like when I'm in that season, to be able to devote as much as my attention and mainly time
Yeah.
to my family and not have to have my time be sucked by work. So it's like if I can have my time be sucked by work now to build something that's sustainable, and that can be outsourced by the time that season comes, that would be like prime. So that's one of my biggest motivators for why I work so hard, other than the fact that I just love it.
Do you want to be a millionaire?
Yeah, why not?
How do you reconcile wanting to be a millionaire and wanting to do something in ministry?
Because being a millionaire is just on paper. Doesn't mean you're balling.
You want your EBITDA, your net worth.
Yeah.
Got it.
But I think because the way, like, I had this conversation with someone the other day. With Gary. Yeah, talking about value, right? Because it's not about the number amount. It's like I like to think about it in terms of how much value am I providing to people, and then that will show up on a net worth statement, on a P&L.
Yeah.
And in ministry, it's even more value because it's eternal.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't show up on a P&L. It shows up on a different book.
Yeah.
On a heavenly book.
I love that. So can I take on that?
Yeah, go for it.
I feel like I talked to my dad a lot in the last couple of years, and I love talking to my dad, my best friend. And I was encouraging him because I was just saying, as he's a pastor, for anyone that isn't a part of Covenant Fellowship and doesn't know who I am and doesn't know who he is. He's a pastor. He's been a pastor for over 30 years.
Shout out to That Don't Fit podcast.
Yeah, That Don't Fit.
Shout out to Andy Farmer.
Yeah,
That
Andy
Don't
Farmer.
But
I was just talking about because he said that he going into ministry was a financial sacrifice for him, right? So he was making really good money. He was actually working in real estate, and he was working in construction real estate, property management, and he was making really good money for now, even at that time, right? In a way that his trajectory was probably going to end up being like taking over a business. And he sacrificed that for half the money, and in a way, more stress, more pain, more hours. And I was just talking to him about it, and I was just saying, like, that's the biggest hate I have for pastoral ministry, is this, that you're not able to see the fruit of your labor almost 100% of the time,
in a monetary way,
and not in a monetary way, even in an emotional investment way. Because once you have a long enough ministry,
It's a
you
lot of give.
it's a lot of give, and
Mhm.
you might have this counseling session, right, where you give like the Lord works through you, you provide a lot of wisdom, but you don't see how they respond to it.
Mhm.
You don't see how it's applied. And oftentimes they go to a different church because the majority of people switch churches every 3 years. So that's the stat that's kind of put out as like your church members are only expected to kind of be at your church for this amount of time. I think Covenant Fellowship's a little bit different, um,
Generally speaking.
but at the same time, generally speaking, that's what it is. So it's for me, I was just encouraging because I was like, you don't see the fruit of your labor, and that would drive me crazy. Is feeling like I'm investing so much and having that all be just heavenly reward,
Mhm.
and then not being able to see
See,
that
here's what's
there's
interesting though,
influence or there's
because
some kind of benefit that I gain from, like, not even selfishly, but be able to
yeah,
see like I feel encouraged because I put this much time and this much effort in, and this is much of my care that I'm investing in these people.
Yeah, but there's so much
but
detriment to that.
I've had moments like that too, and obviously I'm not in any sort of vocational ministry right now, but there's like I'm a giver, right? And
Yeah.
I give a lot. That's just kind of how my personality is, how the Lord has made me. And I remember during COVID, just when everything's locked down and everyone's questioning all of their life decisions, or at least I was questioning some of those decisions. I was just going on a walk and just, kind of wrestling with God and being like, man, I feel like I should, or I would like to see more fruit of my labor. Not even from like a financial standpoint, but from
Yeah.
like you're saying, you're giving to people and not
Yeah.
seeing it come back.
Yeah.
And I just like, as I was finishing my walk, um, the Lord just like clearly showed me through an interaction with a person how like I actually am seeing the fruit of my labor, even though it's like you might be sowing a
You get
thousand
yeah
seeds,
yeah
but you're only seeing one flower.
yeah
But like at the end of the day, that one flower is worth it,
maybe
and
yeah
But
you're not even going
what
to
a
see about.
selfish mindset to have, though.
No, but no,
Because
wait, no, hold on,
none
hold
of
on,
the
hold on, wait, I'm
glory
not done.
belongs to
But
us.
that's the thing, I'm not done. I'm not done. And then the next part of that was God was showing me that it's His mercy that I even get to see it in the first place,
yeah
because, like you're saying, it's not about. And again, I wasn't even just looking for it for like, okay, I need the glory,
hmm
but it's like
yeah no
almost
exactly
questioning, am I not doing it right?
yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
and
But then,
I would even go so far to say that, like, I'm not trying to speak to you want to see fruit in terms of you want to receive glory of it. I'm speaking more so to, if anything, what you do see is the thorns.
mm,
It's not that you see the flowers, you see the negative reaction to people saying that you broke my marriage, you because of this, or at least how I applied this, you negatively affected. And I
yeah,
think that's like every pastor's had that. Every pastor has a whole slew of times they've tried to help, and it was an irreparable situation. And I think that for me is disheartening. Like, for example, I don't want to just air out my dad's stuff, but I just respect him so much. There was one birthday he had where three very close people in his life that he was caring for, he was friends with, but he was also responsible to care for, they all died in that same week. And so I watched him do three funerals in that span of time. And in my mind, I'm thinking, how taxing is that on your soul, right? To be able and then have to wake up and just do it again, and not to bring that home. Like, I'm the type of guy where if I'm stressed, right, I have to talk to Eric about it. I'm pouring my heart out and being like, calm me down, like, help me out, help me process this, right, help me think through this. And he just never made me feel that way. So he just it was always like he just dropped at the door and just would talk to me and just say, hey, like, wanted to meet me where I'm at, and wanted to talk about whatever stupid thing that was bothering me at the time. So all that to say, I think bringing it back to the values topic, I think that his example in my life just kind of really showed me, like, there's things that really matter, and that's, in my mind, I think that's what really being a man is, and owning that responsibility and loving that responsibility and feeling fulfilled um, by the joy that you get to do these things, and that you get to be responsible for these people, and that you get to serve in this way. Which I think maybe it's just because I'm 25. Like, that concept, even still, like, I know that's truth, but that just seems so. I'm so naive in that, where for me, I want to see fruit. I was because I've been stagnant, but like, I want to see a cause effect
mhm.
with whatever I input, and see it in the output.
And I think that ability to be able to input for a long period of time without seeing fruit
Yeah.
in the natural,
Yeah.
knowing that there's fruit in the spiritual, whether you see it or not,
Yeah.
is a mark of spiritual maturity.
Yeah.
And I think it's super hard to do because we mostly see with our natural eyes.
Yeah.
But it's I mean, it's just kind of how the kingdom of God operates, Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your driving vision, Rob?
Oh man, I got a lot going on. I'd say I'm very similar to Andy, right? I have a great engineering job, pension, great insurance, great money, but I want to be a pastor, right? Like, Kaja just finished up with the internship. I'm just starting the pastoral internship at Covenant Fellowship. Like that's my vision right now is full-time ministry, taking that pay cut.
Yeah.
Right, for the purpose of sacrificing, in reference to God's calling. And I'd say, like, you were talking about, what it looks like to be a man, right? And I'd say I'd take it one step further. It's like it's hard to be a man, right? Because you have the weight of your family on your
A
shoulders.
white man. It's hard to be a white man right now.
We're gonna go. Let's go there. Let's go there.
A cis white man.
I don't even have
Tough
anywhere to
time.
go with that.
Sorry,
I'm not
hold
even
on.
gonna bring it anywhere.
Preaching to the
Oh man.
Sorry, I derailed.
There's a biracial podcast.
Yeah.
you know? So,
Yeah, we'll talk.
so it's okay to talk about these things.
Yeah,
That's, you gotta clip it.
We'll bring that don't fit on. To
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yeah.
We'll bring that don't fit on.
Oh man. Oh gosh. What was I even
Yo,
saying?
that could throw. It'll take Rob another 30 seconds to come back.
But here's the thing.
My
No.
bad.
I have my thought. And I'm just gonna power through no matter what Grant says. I'm just gonna power through.
Like the devil on the shoulder that's just gonna be whispering things.
Taking a pay cut.
When you are a man, right, and obviously in singleness being a man is hard. When you have a family, right, you carry the weight of that family on your shoulders, right? You come home, you help your wife with your problems, and oftentimes you deal with your own problems on your own too, right? Like that's typically how it goes because you have so much going on in your life as is that sometimes bringing your own problems to light, you don't have time to do that.
Yeah.
Even if you have a very supportive wife who's there emotionally for you, sometimes it's even hard to bring out your own issues.
100%. Yeah.
Right. So then you add ministry on top of that, right? It is not for the faint of heart. To be a man and carry that weight is hard. And then to be a man who joins, ministry and partners with a local church as a pastor, right? Like there's even heavier weight to that because not only do you have the weight of your family on your shoulders.
Yeah. You have the weight of the flock.
You have the weight of the flock on your shoulders, right? You have souls.
Yeah. You
have to care for, right? And that's why the Bible says that this is not for everyone.
And they're judged more harshly.
They're judged more harshly. And the call is frustrating to me because so many men, right? I'll even be bold to say so many boys, right? Think that they're ready for ministry. And I'm not saying I'm ready for ministry, but what I'm saying is this. So many guys will say, I'm ready for ministry. And they will just, become this holier than thou person in front of everyone.
Yeah.
They have eloquent speech, right? Yeah. They know how to say the right things. They know their Bible really well. But their secret...
They're young earthers.
Young...
Don't we can't go there. Can't do it.
They're living... But the problem is... And I loved when Josh Harris said this on the interview he did with the Christianity Today for the Mars Hill podcast.
That was a great interview.
He talked about how his ability to speak was so far it's so far surpassed everything else that his character didn't have time to catch up. Right, so he was
his gifting outpaced his
character. His gifting outpaced his character, and what ended up happening was he blew up at 19, right? Yeah. He wrote this book, I Kissed Dating Goodbye, and became an instant success within the church.
Yeah. Success.
What? Well, you know what? Like that's what I'm talking about. Success. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And so my problem is so many guys feel like they're called to ministry because they lead worship really well. No slag against you. Or they
He went there first.
They lead worship really
No,
well.
I get it. Yeah.
Or like, hey, I lead this Bible study really well. People are coming to my Bible study. I should be a pastor, right?
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this. 'Cause this is not business, and I feel like I like where this is going. Over.
But what I'm
over
saying,
this
I'm
topic.
talking about
Yeah.
vision right now.
Yeah.
It's
So-
vision. Yeah.
So
Keep
I'm
going,
getting there.